Thrilled to be joined now by Don Lucia, set to start his 18th season as the head man in Minneapolis. Don, before we look ahead to 2016-17, quickly look back on last year. It was such a young team. You guys relied so heavily on freshmen and sophomores. What was that like for you and your staff?
Well, we had to stay patient. There's no question throughout the year. We did not get off to the kind of start we wanted. It probably cost us at the end for the NCAA tournament. But, you know, on the flip side of that, it was really fun to watch our team grow and get a whole lot better as that year went on. And, you know, to ultimately win another Big Ten championship, that was very rewarding. Probably one game short as far as not making the NCAA tournament, and hopefully we can do that this year.
Obviously, one of the biggest benefits of having such a young team the previous year is most of those guys are back. I believe you only lost 3 seniors in addition to the 2 guys in Hudson Fasching and Michael Brodzinski who left early. So what does that do strictly in terms of, as you said, getting off to a better start and being more comfortable from the jump?
Well, we had to break in so many new guys last year, and some nights 10 different guys were in our lineup from a year ago. As we look to start the season right now, there's probably a pretty good chance of, Mike Smatula was a transfer, so he sat out last year, but he practiced. So, you know, probably 11 of our 12 forwards will have been at least through practices in some games last year with our team. And on the back end, we'll probably have, you know, we have 5 defensemen out of the 7 who played a lot last year returning, losing Brodzinski early, and Nick Seeler left early to sign pro contracts. And then, as you mentioned, that Hudson Fasching. So we did have three seniors. It would have been seniors this year, could have come back and played. But we have a pretty good nucleus coming back, and we're pretty excited about that.
Big part of that nucleus, Justin Kloos, who will be a 2-time captain this year. What does his leadership mean to the team?
Well, I think it's going to be a lot easier for Justin and Connor and Jake this year. They were thrust into that leadership position last year as juniors. You know, all of a sudden, they're looking around the room, and you know they had been the underclassmen and relied on other players to fulfill not only the key spots in our lineup, but that leadership position. All of a sudden, especially early in the year, I think they really felt it that you know they had to provide the leadership, but they also had to be in new roles and roles that we needed to count on them to produce. And it took some time for them to adjust to that. And I think that transition will be that much easier for all 3 of them this year.
I know, Don, at this point, very limited in what you can see from the guys in a team perspective, but are there returning players who you feel like you saw enough of last year that you believe 1 or 2 guys are ready to have kind of a breakout season coming up this year?
Well, I think when we look at our returning players, we just have to have everybody take a step. I think that's going to be the most important thing. Obviously, Kloos had a real good year last year, and Bristed had 20 goals. But we had, whether it's Gates, who you know had some ups and downs as a freshman, Connor Riley getting back in sync after another knee injury the year before. I think you'll see Mike Smatula have a real nice year for us this year. We seem to have a little bit more skill up front than what we had last year. Rem Pitlick, even though he joined late, was a USHL Player of the Year, and I think he's going to have a real impact on our season. I think Vinny Lettieri, I think Taylor Camerata, they look to be improved from what they were a year ago. So it doesn't have to be 1 or 2 guys. It'd be great if it was kind of by committee and everybody just contributed a little bit more.
In today's age of college hockey, regardless of the turnover, whether it's a large number or a small number, you're going to see freshmen, you're going to see newcomers have an impact on pretty much every team throughout the country. How much is that going to be the case with you guys?
Well, I think up front, I mentioned this transfer in Mike Smatula. He's definitely going to be a good player for us. He was a point-a-game guy at Northeastern for 2 years in Hockey East. He's well-built, physically very strong, and Pitlick up front. I think those are the 2 new guys that will really probably have the biggest impact up front. And then on the back end, Ryan Lindgren and Ryan Zulsdorf. One played in Ann Arbor and the other played in USHL the year before. I think they're both going to have an opportunity to contribute some real heavy minutes this year.
Playing the position of goaltender as a young guy can be very trying. By all accounts, Eric Shearhorn did a very nice job a year ago. How big of a step can he make? How big of a step do you need him to make this year?
Well, he had a nice year for us last year, but there's certainly areas that he can improve upon, just like any other young player. And the consistency factor, night in and night out, like to see him, you know, elevate that save percentage, just a little bit more as he heads into his sophomore year, and some of that's on us to do a better job of limiting the good scoring opportunities. So I think for us, we can't give up 2.7 or 2.8 goals against and have the type of team we want to be. We got to get back down to around 2.25 or lower if we're going to take another step as a team this year.
Don, you know the Notre Dame hockey program very well. Your son Mario just finished up his career at Notre Dame, and we were joking a while ago that maybe your wife can actually go back to being a Gopher fan now that he's done in South Bend. But I'm interested in your take on Notre Dame becoming part of the Big Ten Hockey Conference starting next year.
Well, I think it's a great fit for our league. I mean, you look at the footprint, the type of institution, the commitment they have with their hockey program, with the new facility, the Compton Center. We've actually played them the last 4 years. It'll be a seamless transition. I mean, they've been a rival with some of the old CCHA teams. It'll be good to have that name recognition in our own buildings, and certainly it's a nice, easy place to get to. And I think it was important for the Big Ten Conference to expand. And now we're at 7. I think in an ideal world we'll find one more at some point in time. And the great situation would be if one more Big Ten team decided to add hockey here in the near future, and we can really solidify ourselves with an 8-team league. But bringing in another brand name, a national brand, a team that was in the NCAA tournament and has been a real power in college hockey the last 10 years, I think it's going to really add to our league and make our league better.
Meanwhile, one of your biggest rivals makes a change that has an impact this year with Tony Granato becoming the head man at Wisconsin. Your thoughts on what Tony and the staff will bring to that program and the league as a whole?
Well, I think Wisconsin's one of those brand name schools that we expect to be towards the top each and every year, and I think the new staff's going to do a good job recruiting. They'll elevate their talent level. They'll have continuity. I think they all three kind of played together and know each other very well. And I think you're going to see Wisconsin back to where Wisconsin historically been in the very near future.
Don, your job so often, most of the time really, is basically looked at as wins and losses. But there's so much more that goes into the career and the daily job of a college hockey coach. I'm interested in the academic side of it and what you and your staff can do and how you guys push the players to make sure that they're taking care of their responsibilities, not just on the ice and in the locker room, but in the classroom as well.
Well, that's obviously why they're here. And the great thing about what we do as coaches is they come in at 18. Sometimes they're a little bit immature and you have to hold their hand a little bit, or sometimes kick them in the rear end and make sure they understand the importance of the academics. We have a great academic advisor in Chris Cords. I think the change in NCAA rules allowing incoming freshmen to attend summer school has really made a significant impact. And all of our kids graduate in 4 years. And Hudson Fashing was in the Carlson School of Management. He actually graduated in 3 years. So we have a system in place that if you're going to be here for 4 years, you are 100% going to graduate. And as a matter of fact, more than likely, you're going to have to take one class spring semester senior year. So when they come in, they have study hours their freshman year. They have to go to 8 hours of study hall. If they get a 3.0 GPA or better, they don't have to do that after their freshman year. And right now, we have a team GPA of about 3.2, and I think we only have 2 or 3 players on our whole roster that have under a 3.0 cumulative GPA. So we're really proud of what the kids have done in the classroom, on the ice, and that's the standard we have set. They understand that, and we've told them many times we're not going to lower the bar. And I've always had a philosophy: never miss, never fail, and that's the expectation we have of our kids going to class.
Minnesota head coach Don Lucia, kind enough to join us on our Big Ten Hockey Media Day. Don, as always, great to catch up. Best of luck this season.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.